It is Tuesday, September 16th. Do you know who this guy is? Well, he's an influential Republican senator from South Carolina. And he said that we have to kill ISIS over there before we all get killed here at home. So what do you think? Is that a bit of an overreaction? Well, I have one person on this program who says it is, and that is just one thing getting under the skin of Amy and Rory today. Welcome to Ticked Off Tuesday. And then we're going to call this Family First. We're going to have a look at the real stars appearing in local campaign ads. Here's a hint. It's not the candidate. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I am great. How
We're ticked off on Tuesday.
I know you are. You got a bunch. Come on, we're going to get going right now. Let's go.
Let's go.
Live from Studio B, it's What's Your Point? From the right, Amy Tarkanian. From the left, Rory Reed. And your host and moderator, Jeff Gillen.
All right, we're going to get this going, and they have not told me what you are ticked off about, but I do know that we've got a bunch of stuff, so I'm going to keep you on a time schedule.
Okay.
We're going to go from one to, and we're going to start with you.
Okay.
What's under your skin?
I'm ticked off at the grand old party, the Republican Party in the Senate, because they blocked an effort to put a constitutional limit on campaign money spent in America. Everybody knows that all the money in politics right now has a corrosive, a corruptive influence. There was a vote in the U.S. Senate that could have brought this back to some sense of normalcy, could have reversed those Supreme Court decisions that say basically you can spend all the money you want. And what did the Republicans do? They said, oh, this is a First Amendment issue, and if we pass this thing, we're going to overturn the First Amendment. Pretty soon they're going to start burning books in the streets. It was ridiculous.
That is such nonsense because that's just corporate donations. What about all of the millions of dollars that the unions have donated over the years?
This constitutional amendment would have banned all that. It would have reversed all these court decisions that say you can spend whatever you want. And we limit the First Amendment all the time. You know, child pornography, you can't incite people to lawlessness, you can't lie. There's all these First Amendment restrictions, and we should restrict the amount of money in politics.
Time up.
Okay.
Next.
I like your buzzer.
What bothers you?
You don't like it as much soon.
I know. The war on women, the fake war on women. Last week you had the DNC chairwoman, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and she had said some pretty insulting comments that were also very hypocritical because you have the Democrat Party who likes to tout that the Republicans are not the party for women, and she actually said that Scott Walker, the governor of Wisconsin, she does not like his policies, so she actually said Scott Walker has given women the back of his hand. She accused him of grabbing us by the hair and pulling us back. Excuse me, that seems pretty inappropriate. And you know what? She realized she was wrong because later she apologized.
Now, she shouldn't have said that maybe, but this war on women is real. Republicans are terrible on women's policies. That's why the Democrats keep talking about it.
Well, Sharon Day issued out, if you want to Google it, I'm sure it's all over the place. Sharon Day, who's the RNC vice chairwoman, she did issue out a response to that, and it's brilliant. I love it.
I'm sure you thought it was brilliant.
You go.
I get a buzzer, you just give her a polite.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
All right, what's
I'm
next?
ticked off at Lindsey Graham.
Oh, what did he do?
What he said. He said that he didn't like President Obama's reaction to ISIS, and he said that if we didn't do something more serious, we would all die. We have a sound on this. You got to see it to believe it.
Okay.
This is a war we're fighting. It is not a counterterrorism operation. This is not Somalia. This is not Yemen. This is a turning point in the war on terror. Our strategy will fail yet again. This president needs to rise to the occasion before we all get killed.
Okay, would you disagree with that?
Before we all get killed here back at home? I mean, that's hysterical. It's not what a U.S. Senator should be saying about this. We need to take this seriously. But ISIS has 30,000 members. They don't have an air force. They don't have an economy. They don't have a government, really. And to say those kinds of things, to say that we're threatened here at home, that we're all going to die if we don't do what Lindsey Graham wants, I think is irresponsible.
I think what he's upset about is, but some of them are Westerners who could use their passports and come back here and
kill us all.
And in all fairness, she did say we need to take it serious, and President Obama did at one time call them the JV team, so it's time to step it up.
I think we're taking it seriously now.
There you go. You happy? Okay. You.
Okay. Yesterday, we had an assembly candidate on in District 34. Her name was Victoria Seaman. She's in the middle of a lawsuit right now against her opponent.
I watched it.
Yes, and it was fantastic. And she's basically pointing out that our own election laws are not being enforced. So we have this problem. Well, to come to find out, the judge in California actually enforced the election laws, thankfully. And there is a California senator who was forced to resign because he did not adhere to the residential rules. Now, I don't know how many days you have to live in the district before you file in California, but here it's 30 days.
Right.
So I'm actually upset with our election laws that are not being followed through with and being ignored, and also with the fact that the Secretary of State, Ross Miller, who wants to be our Attorney General, he wants to actually be the enforcer of these state laws. He can't even enforce these own election laws.
We're going to talk about this more in the second block. I think you're wrong to blame Ross Miller. The problem is what the law says, but I know you have to take
He's a part of the problem.
You got one more?
Okay. I got one more. I'm mad that the gaming industry, the major industry in our state, is doing nothing to offer an alternative. They say they're against the education initiative. They don't want that margin tax. They say it's, I think they're exaggerating the damage it might do to our economy. But they are the major industry in our state. What's the alternative they're offering? If not TEI, if not the education initiative, then what? And I think that the gaming industry needs to show some leadership here and demand of elected officials that they do something to fix our education system.
What's the plan B? I think that's a good question.
There is none.
And you, one more?
Yes, one more. Can't let Hillary off the hook.
Oh, poor, you're always after Hillary.
Yes, well, you know, over the weekend she was busy campaigning in Iowa, and it seemed like, you know,
just like old times.
Yes, just like old times. Seemed like we were stuck back in the days.
I think it's
Nothing
great.
has changed. Oh my goodness. Well, obviously the media thought it was great too because they wanted to forget that this week we had the first hearings for the Benghazi attacks. And now there's new allegations that are coming out that she may have had documents removed and shredded. That is horrible news for her and for the Democrat Party if that comes out.
I think the timing's interesting. She goes to Iowa making it more clear that she's probably going to run for president, and that's when these supposed new allegations are on the Fox News network. I think Benghazi was manufactured to affect a presidential candidate's campaign more than it was substantive.
Okay, well, if you have somebody such as Raymond Maxwell, who actually was in charge, he was a leader in the State Department's Bureau of Near Eastern Affairs. This district was in charge, or not district, but this department was in charge of collecting emails and documents relevant to the Benghazi probe. I think he would know a little bit about what's going on.
We'll talk more later. You were gone yesterday, obviously.
I was.
We held down the fort for you, but as we said, you've got something to say about the Republican who was on this program yesterday. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. You know, yesterday we had a Republican candidate for State Assembly District 34 on our program. Victoria Seaman's her name. And one of the things that we talked about was the legal fight she's waging against her opponent, Democrat Megan Smith. Well, Seaman claims Smith is not eligible to run because she did not, according to Seaman, legally live in the district. So, I mean, you watched that yesterday. What you got a problem with that? What's going on?
I want to let's remind ourselves what she said. So let's watch a second of what she said yesterday.
We discovered early in August that my opponent actually did not live in the district 30 days prior to filing her declaration of candidacy. And she didn't close on her home until 7 days before end of filing.
So as
How do you disagree with that?
I don't know what the facts are, but the point I wanted to make is her allegation is that Megan Smith, her opponent, must not have lived in the district for 30 days because she closed on that house 7 days before filing ended. There's a lot of other things that could have happened between the 30-day deadline and when she filed. For all I know, she was living in an apartment within the district. From what she said yesterday on the show, I have no idea what the truth is, and it's easy to make an allegation. Now, the problem is that it's hard to determine what the truth is quickly enough to affect the election. Victoria Seaman said rightly yesterday that when she described the law, if you don't kick somebody off the ballot by June 4th, then their name will continue to be on the ballot. Well, the primary is not till June 10th. And when she makes an allegation like that, she has to either hope that the Secretary of State will take action or that a court will take action. And courts don't make decisions that quickly, and the Secretary of State doesn't have the ability to find out what the truth is. So the problem is that we need to change our law if we're going to
We do need to change our law, and to address the allegations. All of these documents are public, so, and there's no gray area on this. It's very clear, and you can go ahead and take a look at those documents. I know as an attorney that'd be a lot simpler for you probably than me, but there's no gray area. So it's very cut and dry.
All I'm saying is it's easy to make an allegation, and who's the referee here? You have two people that have a different story. The law needs to be more clear about who's going to make that decision and how they can do it quickly.
And the thing is, though, there are two other complaints that have been filed in this same district, one being a Democrat, two are Republicans, and the Secretary of State still has not addressed any of those.
Let me just point this out again. I did call Megan Smith yesterday to just get her side of the story. She didn't call back, so once again, we did reach out to Ms. Smith. We're going to move on right now because here at What's Your Point, we noticed that some TV ads for local candidates are actually featuring a lot more than just the candidate. Their families are getting into the action. So when it comes to media and public scrutiny, does that make the families fair game? That comes your way next on What's Your Point? All right, welcome back. It's election time, and there is no bigger clue than all those campaign ads you're seeing. And who are the stars? Well, the candidates' families. Here are the newest ads from the two candidates running for Congressional District 3. We've got incumbent, I think we're going to show that, there we go, incumbent Republican Joe Heck, that's the one on the bottom there, and Democrat Erin Bilbray in the upper corner. The star in Bilbray's ad, her 12-year-old daughter, adorable young girl, the star in Joe Heck's ad, the very good-looking Heck clan sitting in the kitchen of their Henderson home. So since I happen to have two people who have been in politics and one of you have run for office, let's debate the benefits and frankly the problems of putting your family out there. I mean, here's the question, does it really make them also fair game? Because we've seen instances, and we'll just touch on that as we continue, family kind of popping up here as issues. But so give me your perspective, because you've both done this.
I think it was smart for both candidates to use their families. They both are very polished families. They've been around the block a few times. They know exactly, what works, what doesn't work. And I think what this does is this exudes stability. This is the white picket fence. This shows responsibility. It shows that when you have family togetherness, you must be a loving and caring individual. I think it was smart for both parties.
People use their families in ads or children in ads because they think that it's going to work, that it'll make people like them more. Politicians are
Does it?
I think so.
I think it does. Politicians are about the least popular people in the world, and then if you see them with their family or their family talking about them or them with children, it humanizes them and it makes them more likable, and you're more likely to vote for somebody if you like them.
So what toll does it take on the family? For example, we showed the Joe Heck ad there. Remember a couple years ago, I think Joe Heck had to apologize for some tweets his son did, his teenage boy did. I mean, you've had a brush. You had your daughter who had an issue with some of the things that she was making. So family gets drawn in there. I mean, that's the downside?
It is, and I think on any level, you can take it as serious as to what you had mentioned, a teenager, give me a break. They all make mistakes, down to even my daughter and my son. I have 4 kids, but 2 out of the 4 are named after very well-known family members. I have a Lois and a Jerry. So my 2 children, they can't escape that. So everywhere they go, it's, oh, you're named after your Nana, oh, you're named after your Papa. So they're actually under a little bit more scrutiny than the other 2.
And I think that the adult, the politician chooses that life. Their kids don't necessarily choose that, and I think we need to be careful when we go after kids. And I describe why politicians use their family in ads or children in ads. It's not all craven. It's not all self-interest.
Well, let's show. You've got one. Let's show one from, I think you've got your race for governor in 2010.
Oh, did you find that?
I think we did. Let's put it up if we can call up for that. We don't have it. I'm sorry. Well, that ad, I think you had your son?
I didn't. I had my wife in one of my ads, I think, and then I had an ad on education where there are a whole bunch of cute kids. And I think that one of the reasons that you have your family involved in a political campaign is because campaigns are very
Time consuming.
Time consuming, and you like to see your family, so you have them come to events because that might be the only time you see them that week. And also, you know, it builds some character to be involved in a campaign. It's hard work. It teaches kids something about a work ethic. You know,
How to
something
handle
about
pressure.
Right, public speaking. But, you know, so there's some benefits to that.
Well,
Also, if you get invited to an event and you can't come, it's good to send your friends.
I'd like to show you one of the travel pictures, actually, from when my husband ran for the
Sure.
U.S. Senate. If we could put that up. It's the one of my husband in the back seat of a van. Look at that. I mean, the traveling, don't get me wrong, my kids have probably seen more of the state of Nevada than most adults have. And we have had some great experiences, met a lot of wonderful people, and visited just some lovely,
You
lovely
guys are not
cities.
trying to
But
take
look,
advantage of your kids. You're trying to be
no,
together.
we're
That's
trying
fine.
to stay together. And actually, in this picture, we had a reporter travel with us
Right.
from Las Vegas to Reno. We had to pop in, you know, numerous DVDs just to keep everyone happy, make sure that, you know, there was not too much crying, too much whining going on, because that's the other thing. You have to make sure, you know, everyone's tired. You're going to probably 5-6 events a day. Everyone's tired. Someone's hungry. Someone has to go potty. And then by the time you get to that event, everyone wants you fresh and perky, and it's like, okay, smile, everyone. It's tough.
But you have there's another picture you have.
Yes.
And this one made, I think, national news, right?
It
This
did.
is
It
the
did.
one.
This is our son Jerry, and you might recognize that face on that bib.
Yeah, that's a
right?
cranky guy in that picture there.
Well,
On the chest. Not the
There-
baby.
This is when my husband once again ran for the U.S. Senate race, and this is our son Jerry. This is within an hour or two of him being born, and somebody from the campaign had that anti-Harry Reid bib made.
Now, how did you-
put
but
it
how
on
did
him,
you-
and it was displayed,
how
picked
did
up by
you-
AP and Politico.
But
within
how
an
did you
hour.
feel? How did you feel as the mother that your son is just born about an hour or two ago, and suddenly, you know, he's being? This is going to come out sounding harsh. I don't mean it, but being used as a campaign prop, essentially. But how did that make you feel?
I don't think that was the intent, but because, one, it was a very high-profile race. Two, he's also named after a very well-known basketball coach. So I think that sparked interest naturally.
Yeah.
It's just something that I've had to get used to over the years, and quite honestly, he was my fourth child. I was just happy he was healthy. I wasn't even thinking about that.
What about, real quick, just the toll it takes on families?
I think that, you know, I have a pretty unique perspective. I've both been a candidate and the family member of a candidate, and I think it's a lot harder. There's no comparison. It's a lot harder to be a family member. If you're the candidate, you're moving real fast. You get used to people calling you names and looking at you funny if they don't agree with you. But children don't choose that life. You drag them into it, and I think we need to think about that. And you know, the next time you're watching a politician's family drive by in a parade and you're never going to vote for that guy, no matter how you feel about him, you might want to wave at his kids that are
Right.
waving back at you, because it's hard on a family to, you know, they're hurt when they're not treated well, and then they're very sensitive to their father or mother being criticized.
And there were moments going door to door with my children where the person who lived at the home would say, "Oh, who is it?" when you're knocking, and say, "Oh, hi, it's Amy Tarkine. I'm here on behalf of my husband, Danny Tarkine. He's running for blah, 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 blah." And they would open the door, "Oh, well, I don't like that, blah, 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 blah." Or, "I don't like your mother. I don't like your father. I don't like you." You know, and the kids are sitting there, and then it's like, "Oh, well, would you like a popsicle?" I mean, come on. The kids are just trying to grasp what just happened in front of them. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, the old line, politics ain't beanbag, and you know, I think that often you forget, and especially in this particular culture, and in this town, this is a tough town to be a politician in. This is a tough state. I mean, this is hardball in this place. That politicians are people too.
And I wouldn't ask
Absolutely.
anybody to feel sorry for politicians, but I would ask them to think about how they treat their kids and what it does to a family, because, you know,
Once you
the
attack
kids
a
didn't-
kid, you lose
Yeah.
all credibility and all respect.
And a child doesn't choose this life. They do it because they love the parent. That's all.
All right.
Right.
We're going to have our last point after this. Stay with us. All right, time for our last point. I hope that our discussion about using family in campaign ads was cathartic for both of you. I felt like a therapist a little bit there, but
I just need to go home, take a nap. I'll be fine.
yeah. What do you want to leave people with in terms
I
of
think
campaign
that-
ads and stuff like that?
Yeah, we're getting right into the middle of election season, and rather than us guess what we think is effective in all these campaign ads that people are going to start to see, I think people should watch them and tweet us or email us. I'm interested in what people out in the real world think about these ads and which ones are effective, and then maybe we can show the one that people are praising, and then maybe we can show the one that they're not too happy about.
I think that's a great idea, because a lot of times when you're on the campaign trail, you hear people say, oh, I'm so tired of the negativity. I wish everyone would stay positive. Well, when you do the polling and you see the internal numbers, usually the negative ads are the ones
people remember the negative
yes.
stuff.
So
I'm interested in what people think about these ads and what, what they would do different.
I think we got about 40 seconds or 30 seconds left. When you were a candidate and your folks made an ad that had you in it, how'd you react to them? I mean, the ones you liked, the ones you didn't like? What did you do when you got an ad out there you didn't like?
I watched less TV.
Exactly.
You watch less TV.
You don't have a lot of time to watch TV when you're campaigning.
Yeah, well, it's interesting also, and we're really just getting into the thick of it now. The Bill Bray and the Heck ads, are going to be seeing a lot more of those on TV.
I think Adam Laxalt has a new one.
Adam Laxalt came out with one. We'll try to get all of these for you at some point. Anyway, guys, good discussion today, good debate. Thank you for watching. This is What's Your Point? We are back here tomorrow.